there a motion to have a reading and notice in the minutes, please?
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Before you is the agenda. Any additions or corrections? Anyone? Staff? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the agenda as printed?
Motion approved.
Got a motion?
And a second.
A motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have two sets of minutes, one from April 2nd and one from April 21st. Taking the set from April 2nd first, are there any additions or corrections, or is there a motion?
I would make a motion to accept
I got a
April
motion.
2nd.
April 2nd minutes as printed. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a second. Motion and second to approve the April 2nd minutes as printed. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The April 21st minutes.
Motion to approve.
A motion?
And a second.
Motion and a second to approve the April 21st minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. On to old business, item number 1. Planning Commission is to adopt formal findings for the denial of conditional use permit on behalf of BioWood. Meredith?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've been asked to note for the record that the representative or counsel for BioWoods Processing has asked for an opportunity to speak, and I have advised him that pursuant to earlier conversations with him that I have had, as well as our counsel in the litigation, that the record has been closed. It was closed back at the time the board took action on this in terms of the submission of testimony or written submissions, and therefore there is no opportunity for public comment.
Okay. So with that, the board is open to discussion. We have our brochure of findings or documentation, and I guess our purpose is to reaffirm our motion. I guess I'd look for each board member to, looking at the findings of fact, in your opinion, do you agree that this should be denied? Just each one take a minute if you wanted to express your opinion.
If I could go, we have 7 findings of facts listed here for the Planning Commission's recommendations of denial. Maybe item number 7, last but not least, hours of operation are necessary to protect public health, safety, and welfare. The 6 beforehand do outline the issues as to why hours are restricted. If we want to go through each of them.
Let's let each member speak first and
Sure.
we'll go through the tear sheet. Mike?
Okay. Obviously I wasn't part of the Planning Commission when this was originally through here, but going through the material, looking at the findings that were there, I would agree with denying of the application, mainly based upon kind of like he is saying, the hours of operation seem kind of unreasonable based upon the nature of business. Nothing in the county being structured like this, as well as just the issues that the public raises in regards to how it affect the residents that are around there, as well as kind of the overall well-being of the county. So I would agree with what was done and support in denying the application.
Joe?
I would also agree. Nothing has happened that would change my opinion of the findings at that time. I believe at that time if there would have been just a little bit of leeway in their hours of operations, maybe we could have worked something out, but it didn't seem like that was possible. So my opinion stands.
Okay, and in my opinion, I being a close neighbor, felt that there is definite need for some quiet time, and certainly support what has been found in the past here in the findings. And I think we got everybody's opinion. I'm going to go through the legal representations of our packet to the findings for the denial. Number one, there are at least 6 existing residential neighbors within a half mile of the business operation that have expressed concerns regarding nighttime noise. The proposed request to eliminate hours of operation and allow for a potential 24/7 business operation creates an incompatibility issue with the existing residential neighbors. Number 2, the BioWoods operation without restriction of hours creates nighttime noise issues for the nearby existing residential neighbors. Number 3, the condition restricting hours of operation is a condition that is necessary to protect the best interest of the surrounding area by restricting noise during overnight hours. Number 4, without a limitation on hours of operation, the use is incompatible with surrounding residential and existing campground use nearby and would be deterrent to development of surrounding vacant land. Number 5, there is an existing recreational campground business nearby with quiet hours from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. where 24/7 truck traffic would have an effect. Therefore, an existing business would be adversely affected. Number 6, there was consistent compliance with there was not consistent compliance with conditions previously imposed by the Board of Commissioners, and accordingly the requested modifications to such conditions will not facilitate the resolution of ongoing issues related to incompatibility. And number 7, hours of operation are necessary to protect public health, safety, and welfare. That is the legal findings of fact. Chair is open to a motion to adopt those as background to reaffirm our previous action.
I would propose a motion to accept the 7 findings of facts as our resolution, as our findings of fact for recommendation of denial of the conditional use permit.
Okay, have a motion. Is there a second? Terminology all right, legal? All right, thank you. Mike. Further discussion? Hearing none, chair calls for a vote. All in favor of the motion to reaffirm, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. That concludes item 1. Item 2 is a public hearing. Staff?
Yes, item 2 is a public hearing on a proposed zoning ordinance amendment. This would be to add solar energy production as a conditional use option within the agricultural zoning districts. Most of you may remember that this item was in front of you in an applicant request earlier this year, where you did recommend proceeding with the item. It was then sent to the County Board of Commissioners, where they authorized publication of a notice of intention to adopt and set a public hearing for tonight's night. If there are any questions for staff, I can try to answer those.
Public comment period?
Pardon?
Will there be a public comment period for this?
Yes, there will be a public comment here, period.
The public hearing is scheduled for tonight. I don't know if you had set your standard time limits or not for that.
Chair would reaffirm that at the beginning, excuse my voice, at the beginning of the year, the Commission established a 3-minute time limit for speaking at public hearings, encouraging written testimony. So that's a reminder to the public for any public input. With that, Trent, go ahead.
Just if you have any questions on the item, I believe in your packet you did receive a draft of the ordinance with the amendment included. It's actually just as simple as adding the word solar energy production and the letter C under the ag zoning district. It's on page 8.5 of your packet there. So.
Yep. So, any questions for staff? We've seen it before. We're adding solar as a conditional use permit.
Okay, thank you.
Chair at this time opens the public hearing. Anyone wishing to address this amendment, change to the ordinance to add or allow solar energy, more than welcome to come forward. and state your testimony. Crowd like, here we go. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kathleen Doran Norton. You want my address?
Address, please.
10895 Farrell Court, Northfield, Minnesota. I live in Bridgewater Township, and I'm one of the supervisors in the township. We appreciate that you're considering this as an allowed use, or a conditional use, I should say, within the county. The township, there have been property owners approached by various solar companies, and so it's a timely thing to be doing. As we've explored this option within the township, we've had an engineer from Steele-Waseca Rural Electric who we learned that it is helpful to locate solar either near transmission areas or close to where there's peaks of electrical use. Commercial and industrial use pretty much mirrors the solar energy use. Given that, I would ask you to consider allowing solar energy to be used, or solar arrays to be put within the urban reserve where they do not negatively impact those cities. In Bridgewater's case, there are areas that the county has deemed urban reserve that are outside the city of Northfield's 40-year plan for water. There are areas within our urban reserve that are outside the annexation agreement that we have with the city of Dundas that extends for the next 20 years. So there are lots of areas we think that solar could be beneficial to companies within the cities of Northfield or Dundas that would in fact be more beneficial by having them somewhat closer to the cities. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Got a public hearing. Certainly welcome input.
Jim Dubon, 11565 Union Lake Trail, Montgomery. I've got mixed feelings on solar in the first place in agricultural lands due to productivity and that, but then again, you know, top dollar is top dollar for whatever you want to do with it. Having a CUP for it, I'm a firm believer in, because then you've got some neighborhood input on the decision that goes on, whether kind of like the windmill issues of a few years ago. You get the flickering in the windmills. Some of us believe there's going to be glare coming off of these solar panels, you know, so at least there's a little bit of control of that. Granted, they do, with computerized technology, they follow the sun around, but some of us feel there's going to be glare. So at least then we have some input into some of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else wishing to address this amendment to the ordinance? Anyone else? Seeing no one coming forward? Sure. Okay. Chair closes it to the public. Back to the commission for discussion. Action. Moving on. Commissioner Dockin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Obviously, we've had some time to think about this now. And I guess I'm not really sure. First of all, I'm for solar. I want to make that statement. It's not that I'm against solar. I'm a little bit concerned about the allowing it in an agricultural area or district, even as a CUP right now, because we know that it's going to take significant land to do this. And I really believe that it probably is not consistent with our comprehensive plan as it exists right now, and that's is preservation of agricultural land. So if you're not going to have any restrictions on it as far as